Coach Chance Joost, thank you so much for coming on the Christian Coach podcast. Our power question that we ask everyone is, what does it mean to you to be a Christian coach?
Yeah, for me, it's a lot, and it's a heavy responsibility. To be a Christian coach. I think really what it means to me is looking at every single player as a human being, and trying to love them through every single day. And for me, I mean, I think anybody who knows me will probably tell you they've heard me say a million times that my goal every day is to have a positive impact on one human being. And if I can do that, then my day is successful. And I hope I don't have an unsuccessful day. But for me, every single day being a Christian coach is making a positive impact, loving somebody every day, regardless of how their day goes or how they're treating me. But
yeah. I looked at the rosters, both men and women. You have a lot of international players. You even have international assistant coaches or grad assistants.
Right.
How does that affect the you being a Christian coach and being able to, at a non-religious university with international players? What is that dynamic like?
It's not it's not always super easy, but it's also not your cookie cutter basic American Christianity that you're going through. You got to actually love the kids and despite what they believe, love them through it, and not try to push Christianity down their throat. My idea is that I'm going to love these kids every single day, and I want them to look back and say, man, coach was different. Like, he treats me different. He loved me through a hardship differently than somebody else. What's up with that? Like, why is he that way? Or, why does he invest so much time in me when maybe a different coach didn't? Or, and even my grad assistants, why does coach spend so much time investing in my personal career and my personal life? And obviously that's a lot more difficult with the female players than it is the male players for me, just because I am a male. But it's definitely something that I still try to broach. And then it's also something that I still try to set up opportunities for my female players. But yeah, I mean, it definitely means reaching out to them and going to them in whatever position they're in. So kind of that Christ-like idea of reaching down to you and helping you get out of whatever hole you're in. That's kind of the idea I want to have. And a lot of these kids, international kids, have never been to church before. Their idea of church is, why would I go? That's a place full of crazy people. And you know what it is? That's the whole idea. The church is the hospital of the broken. Like, it's what it's supposed to be. And but just having the opportunity to discuss and be real and honest with kids and say, you know what, yeah, like, I'm imperfect. That's why I'm a Christian. And it's okay to be imperfect. And as a male, it's okay to have emotions, and it's okay to have these real discussions. Like, you're scared about what to do after school, or especially with the pandemic. A lot of kids were scared about going home and being able to find a job or whatever it may be. So just in this arena, in a non-religious affiliated university, it's definitely towing the line. And for me, it feels more like being a real Christ follower.
Yeah.
Because I get that open range. I don't have to force kids to go to church. I can invite kids to go to church with me, and who've never been before. Haven't had a kid take me up on that yet, but I'm anxiously waiting the time for one too. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's good. It takes a lot of intentionality. I'm here at Liberty. It's a great Christian university. but we're not all perfect. And sometimes we do get that feeling of people coming in. It's like, oh, I thought, you made this mistake. And I was like, that's exactly why we're here. Like, that's the reason, that's the whole point. Jesus died for nothing if we're all perfect and we don't need him,
Exactly.
But what are some of the, we have a lot of listeners who are Christian coaches at non-religious universities, even some high schools. What are some of the things that you do in order not to obviously jeopardize your job, but still be able to be and show Christ's love to your athletes? Some things that you do on a regular basis to be able to plant those seeds in them.
Well, first of all, is every single day I have to make a personal connection with every single player. It's whether it's the first 10 minutes of warm up, it's walking around and, hey, Jack, how's it going? Or, hey, Patrick, how's it going? Hey, Hannah, how's it going? How's school going? How's life? How's your family back home? And actually knowing what's going on with their families and actually knowing what's going on with them. That's the biggest thing, is actually knowing what's going on, and just being present. And I heard on a different podcast, the throwaway comment. So being ready and attentive for the throwaway comment, like a kid saying, "Oh, well, my dad this," or something like that, just in passing, and being attentive to that so that you can really reach out and grab that comment and then be able to bring it up later. And then also, we have really tough discussions on my teams. So, I think last time I checked, I had 13 different countries represented.
Whew.
And we talk about religion. We talk about politics. We talk about, we talked about Trump. We talked about Biden. We talked about everything. We talked about Black Lives Matters. We talked about these really tough subjects to talk about. But it's facilitated in a way that is a respectful, grown-up conversation. And I usually try to start it and try to keep emotions low, so we can have a better understanding of each other afterwards.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to have those comments with your student athletes, then they're going to trust you more. They're going to know who you are more. And then also, they're going to feel more comfortable to come to you about things, because they're going to realize, like, hey, he is a person, or she is a person who's got feelings, who's got a life, who goes through things. And I introduce the kids, to my fiance, to my dog. Like, I mean, I'm fully transparent with my kids, and sometimes that is to a detriment, because they do see me more as a human being rather than sometimes as all-knowing adult. But that's okay, because I'm not all knowing, and that's who I am. So, I really enjoy that. And, kind of try to take that big brother mentor type personality.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's go back to, you growing up. Did you play any other sports? How was your family life? That seems like there's a good answer coming up.
So like my grandpa and his brother played a little bit of professional tennis. My dad played a little bit, and then my brother and I started when we were 2. My brother's 5 years older than me. Tennis was basically all we knew. To this day, I will tell you that tennis is probably the only thing I know everything about. But I still don't know everything. But we played different sports. We played baseball, soccer, basketball. I mean, we played all the other sports, everything except for football, because God forbid that one of us get hurt and lose a tennis scholarship because of football. Because you can't get hurt in the other sports.
That's true.
It was always, if we were playing basketball, we found ways to still train for tennis. And then we had the choice of what sport we wanted to play, but there really wasn't much of a choice.
Choice in quotations.
I mean, it was like, well, I suck at all these other sports, and I'm pretty decent at this one, so
Yeah.
I guess the choice is made. But yeah, I mean, my parents are phenomenal. I had a really great role model in my mom's dad, who was very much like a father figure to me. He walked like Christ and loved like him as well. I wouldn't be half the man I am today if it wasn't for him. Um, and I mean, even I'll get a phone call while recruiting, or I'll see someone while I'm recruiting, and it might be a tournament director, and he might reach out to me and be like, "Hey, how's your grandpa doing?" And you know, he was just that human being. Like, I haven't seen these people for 10 years, and they still remember my grandpa. So, um, but both my parents worked their butts off. They always have. They've always been honest people. They always, you know, kind of preached that to us growing up. Be honest, um, work hard, and be real to people. And then as far as my faith journey goes, you know, I grew up Catholic for the first about 10 years of my life. Actually got kicked out of the Catholic Church because I wouldn't say the Hail Mary. Because my mom's Protestant, my dad's Catholic, and
Okay.
so my mom ended up taking us to Topeka Bible Church in Topeka, Kansas, and absolutely fell in love with it. Jim Congdon was the pastor. He just recently retired. He was the leader for Jews for Jesus for the longest time. But incredible leader of a church, and really kind of set the groundwork for me as a teenager who was rebellious and you know, the typical athlete boy in high school who just thought, you know, I was invincible. But was able to go to college and
Where'd you go?
I went to Washburn University in Topeka.
Yeah.
Played tennis there, and actually ended up getting kicked off the tennis team my freshman year. And you know, I had one of those radical changes that you hear about, and you know, walking to a slow pitch softball game and feeling, you know, feeling Christ tell me, you know, like, hey, it's time to make a choice. Like, what do you want in this life? And you know, eventually I heard him say, "Follow me," as I was actually doing the "Follow Me" study with Chris Pratt. Um, but my entire life changed that night, and gave my life to Christ.
How early was it after you got kicked out of the tennis team?
7 months.
Okay.
So really dark time in my life, and obviously Christ was there to find me, and I was then, you know, had a guy who reached out to me about 6 months before for a Bible study, and had started going, was in the third week, was totally blowing it off. But he reached out to me, and he was very intentional, and to this day still have a great relationship with him. But yeah, my entire life changed that night. I ended up, you know, reading through the whole Bible in a month, and started my own Bible study, and right from there I joined Young Life within 3 months, and became a leader, and helped start Young Life at my high school, and then, you know, was on fire for Christ, and kind of had like a tough mentor phase after that really kind of messed with my faith a little bit, but was able to forgive myself for going down that path, and trusting someone that I probably shouldn't have. So yeah, I mean, I am complex when it comes to faith, but
I think we all are, you know.
yeah,
We all have
right.
that. Yeah.
But you know, the one thing remains is that no matter what, like, my belief and my understanding of the Bible obviously is always changing, as far as my understanding of the Bible, but the living word, but it's my beliefs never changed. And you know, Jesus is I mean, there's no other explanation for my life doing a complete 180 at 20 years old, with really nobody else, you know, forcing me to do that. So,
Did you go back to playing tennis?
I went back to playing tennis. I got back on the team and ended up becoming a team captain on the team, and have a great relationship with my coach now. Thankfully, he was able to give me a second chance. But yeah, I mean, I ended up starting a Bible study, and I think um, two or three other guys ended up joining Bible studies with me on the team, and but that was really cool and was definitely divisive at the time. As you can imagine, a bunch of 20-year-olds, and once again, a non-religious university.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? It's
Yeah.
not the guy we knew 7 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great, and it's been a crazy ride these last 10 years of being a real Christian, and um, trying to live that life and be an example for everyone, and just the accountability that comes with following Christ. Like,
Yeah.
no matter the mistakes you make, understanding that you got to step up to the plate and take accountability for every action you have.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very freeing.
Yeah. My favorite verse is Philippians 1:21, to live is Christ, to die is gain. I think to me it's a win-win situation. I can't lose there, right? If I live like Christ while on earth, that is obviously the best life that I can have. And if I die, if my time has come and I get to be with Christ forever, that's also pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
actually
too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad of a plan B. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And I really feel like reading Paul's letters of,
Oh my
I
God.
am so divided because I really love you guys, but I eager to be with the Father. And
Yeah.
it's I can definitely relate to Paul and his honesty in those moments. Um, let me go back to your grandpa. You mentioned him. What are some of those lessons that he learned, or maybe that he displayed, that you want your kids that you coach now? Hopefully you have kids of your own, and that you want to instill in them that your grandpa passed down to you.
Um, Man, the biggest lesson my grandpa ever taught me was the measurement of a man is his ability to control his emotions. Um, so man, as a hot-headed teenager, that did not sit well. But nowadays it's like that's the first thing I tell my team when kids get on campus is the measurement. The way I'm going to measure you as a man is your ability to control your emotions, and um, that prevents us from getting into a lot of mental scraps that we shouldn't get into. Um, but other than that, my grandpa had this way of telling you that you really messed up, but he loved you no less. And like I had actually gotten into a fight when I was 16 or something like that, and really was not a good situation. And um, my grandpa sat me down and he was like, "Son, you're better than this, and you're you should have, just because I called you some names, like that doesn't change who you are as a man. Like, you are who you are, and no matter
Yeah.
what anybody says about you." And just having that, I just remember feeling so disappointed in myself, but at the same time so loved and cared for, that it it was definitely partially a turning point in my life. And um anybody who knew my grandpa, I mean, the amount of love that he gave to everyone was full bore all the time. How much can I love this person? How much can I get into knowing their life and communicating with them? And um, yeah, he was a phenomenal human being, and I'm sad that now as an older adult that I don't get to still learn from him. I
Yeah.
mean, the immaturity I had, I wish I could have learned so much more from him. But even today, he's still teaching me. I see certain situations. Man, Grandpa would have just loved the person through this and tried to find a way to help them out instead of judging them or getting angry. And So yeah, I mean that's the biggest lesson for sure. Which is
Thank you.
it seems like such an easy lesson, but it's
Yeah.
so not. It's definitely not one that's easily understood and easy to take on. But.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We would like to ask, how can we be praying for you?
Well, I recently got engaged, so number one would be praying for wedding planning. Mercy me. But yeah, that, and then obviously we got a new team coming in next year. I think we've got 11 new kids coming on between the two teams, and um, just prayer for being able to open up those relationships and um, have the same continuous good tough conversations that I've had in the past. And um, yeah, I mean that's something that I put a lot of pressure on myself for, and I really shouldn't. I mean that's up to Jesus. So
Yeah.
um, just sometimes we got to get out of the way.
Yeah. One advice for wedding planning: the playlist really, really matters, and
Okay.
and just give her the reins in that.
I
Um,
have, so
because
I'm already on
every song matters.
track.
Yeah, that was and you know it was a big discussion, and I'm like, it's 5 days before the wedding and we're still haven't picked these songs. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's my advice to you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and pray.
Right.
Dear Jesus, thank you so much for Coach Joost coming on the podcast. Thank you for his faithfulness. Thank you for his leadership there at William Woods. Lord, thank you that you've given him the ability to pour into his players on the men's side, on the women's side, in a manner that glorifies you, Lord. That the way that he lives also brings their attention to you and to how you love them, regardless of where they come from, regardless of the mistakes that they've made. Lord, I pray that you help him and his fiance here with the wedding planning, that will go smoothly. And that as many new players join his team this fall, that you continue to work in Coach Juice's heart so that he can be the best role model for those kids and be a great representative of you to them. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
My last question is, how are you handling this society of young kids now, that their identity is so tied to their results and their tennis? I've seen it. Tennis and UTR is just huge, and that's part of their identity now, and their rankings and all those things. How have you been able to handle that?
Oh man. You're not even mentioning social media.
Well, that too. Yes, that too.
Uh,
Yeah.
Man, it's tough. I mean, you get kids that are so deep into my UTR is this, so I am this,
Yep.
and it's like,
Yep.
no, it's a number. It's a number that's
or a
reflective.
star. Yeah, I am a 5-star. No, you're not.
No,
You're
no.
Joe Smo there from.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get kids out of that mindset.
Yep.
I actually have a kid comes to mind right now just because of social media, who's very, very affected by it, and just trying to have daily talks to build them up on the side, where it's like, this, you're not measured by this. This is not how
Yep.
you're judged. This is, you're a great person. Like, let's move forward. Let's get out of this
Yep.
prism where we think that we're all, this is all that matters. Like, tennis is 4 more years of your life, and then you're most likely never going to play again. Like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
what are the lessons you're going to learn from tennis? What are the lessons that you're going to learn from the school and from this program, that afterwards you can say, you know what, my UTR was this, but but now I'm a CEO and I love all my employees equally. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
tough. Definitely having those, once again, having those conversations and being transparent and knowing your players.
Yeah.
If you don't know your players, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So, just being personal and really intentional and getting to know them and their issues and why they tick the way they tick, so that you can pick up on subtle body language one day of,
Yeah.
oh, this person's not doing so hot, I need to go spend some extra time with them. um, and having a coach like Kieran definitely helped out, because I knew I could go spend time with one player and Kieran would handle practice, and it was, I didn't have to explain to him what I was doing. It was just like, he's a brother of mine, and it's very nice to have that support system. But
Yeah. Well, Coach, thank you again for coming on. And we'll stay in touch. If you ever need anything, just let us know.
all right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
I'd love to again if that's an opportunity.
Yeah,
But
that's great. Thank you.